Good afternoon, Algebra 2. So today we're going to talk about 11.5, which is the factor theorem. So the first thing we have to talk about is the zero product property. And it says for all a and b, if a times b equals 0, if and only if either a is 0 or b is 0. So one or the other has to be 0, which kind of makes sense because if you think about it, if I have 15 and it times something is 0, so times something equals 0. Well, what does this something have to be? The only thing you can multiply by 15 by to get to 0 would be 0. So that would mean our b here is 0. So say this was b. Now, if we flip it around, let's say we had a here, and we knew b was 15. Well, that doesn't really matter, because for multiplication, it doesn't matter the order. So again, something times 15 giving you 0, well, that thing would have to be 0. So that actually gives us 0. So what that allows us to do is, let's say we factored something into, x minus 3, x plus 2 equals 0. Well, that would be, here's a, here's b. One or the other has to be 0. So then what that allows us to do is that allows us to actually solve this guy. So you would say x minus 3 might be 0, or x plus 2 might be 0. And you're going to get two solutions here. Sorry, let me split this off. So how do we solve for this guy? We add 3 to both sides. X is 3. Here we would subtract 2 to both sides, and we have minus 2. So our two solutions are x equals negative 2 and 3. And we know it has two solutions because if I FOIL this out, I get x squared plus 2x minus 3x minus x, or minus 6, equals 0. Well, it's a second degree equation, which translates into two solutions. If it was a third degree equation, it'd have 3 solutions. Fourth degree would have 4, and so on and so forth. So the zero product property allows us to split these factored things up and actually solve and give actual solutions. So if I plug negative 2 in up here or 3 in up here, it'll give us 0. So let's see how this actually works. Okay, first example. It says let v of x equals 4x cubed minus 88x squared plus 480x. Solve v of x equals 0 for x. So we got to solve. So essentially what that means to do is we got to take this and we have to factor it. And we're going to set it equal to 0. So 4x cubed minus 88x squared plus 480x equals 0. So now we got to factor this side. So always start with, number 1, your GCF. Can I do a GCF here? Looks like it, yeah. 4 and 88 will work, and that's probably divisible by 4. Well, yeah, 48 is, so that'll work. And I can actually take an x out of each one of these. So let's take out a 4x. 4 divided by 4 is 1. We had 3 x's, we took 1. We have x squared left over. 88 divided by 4 is going to be 22. We had x squared, we took 1x, so we're left with 1x. And 480 divided by 4, well, 48 is 12, and then add a 0, so plus 120. And then we had an x, and we took it, so that's all we have, equals 0. Now again, 4x we can set equal to 0. This we can set equal to 0, but this is still a mess. So let's see if this factors further. So we've done GCF. Number 2, we're going to check for any special patterns. Square root of x squared, good. 120 is not a perfect square, so that won't work. So 3 then is your guess and check. So let's guess and check here. So 4x is just going to be outside. I'm going to see if this thing factors in the two binomials. So let's see if it does. Okay, so we need factors of 120 and add to 22. So let's start listing out the factors of 120 because, my goodness, there's a lot. 1 and 120, do those add to 22? Definitely not. 2 and 60, do those add to 22? Nope, that makes 62. 3 and 40, that would make 43, no good. 4 and 30, that would make 34, we're getting closer. 5, and that would be 24. 5 plus 24 is 31, still not there. So 6 and 20, that make 26, we're getting closer. 8, let's see, 120 divided by 8 is 15, I think. Yeah, 8 times 5 is 40, 1 times 8 is 8, yeah, 8 and 15, so 8 plus 15. Oh my god, we're so close. 23, still not there yet. Let's go 9, no, 10, 10. 120 divided by 10 is 12. 10 plus 12, we found them. 10 plus 12 is 22. So we know that our factors are 10 and 12. So 12 here, 10 here. Our first will be x times x. We need a positive, but we need the middle term to be negative. So we have a negative times a negative. Negative 10 times negative 12 gives you 120. So just as a check, let's go ahead and FOIL this back out off to the side before we go any further. So I'm going to get rid of all my factors since now I'm done with this list. And we'll go ahead and FOIL this back out just to make sure. The 4x is being ignored for a second. And then we have x times x, which is x squared. X times a negative 12, which is a negative 12x. Negative 10 times x is a negative 10x. And then negative 10 times a negative 12 is a positive 120. So then let's simplify for, whoops, this is supposed to be 4x. 4x, and then x squared. This becomes negative 22x plus 120. We're good. Let's FOIL through. So x cubed that becomes minus 22. Nope, 88. Sorry, I gotta actually multiply the 4. 88 x squared, and then 4x times 120 is a positive 480x. So we are good. We have FOILed and factored correctly. So this is what it factors into. So now this is essentially 4x times x minus 10 times x minus 12 gives you 0. And the last thing we only had a and b. We had 2 things, but here we actually are going to have 3 different things. But that's okay. You can have as many as you want, and you can still separate them and set them each equal to 0. So our first thing would be 4x equals 0. Our second thing is x minus 10 equals 0. And then our third is x minus 12 equals 0. So solving each of these, here we'd divide by 4. Well, 0 divided by 4 is, well, 0. Here we'd add 10. X is then going to be 10. And then here we'd add 12. And therefore x would be 12. So we actually have 3 solutions for this guy, 0, 10, and 12, which should actually make sense because we should have expected 3 solutions because we started out with 4x cubed. So that would give us 3 solutions. So we should have 3, and we do. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you notice, this is not a coincidence that your solutions ends up being, oh, 10 is 10 right here, it's just the opposite sign. 12 is 12 right here, it's just the opposite sign. And if you just have 4x on the outside, yeah, that's just going to be 0. Okay, so that will happen. If you just want to stop here and say, oh yeah, 0, 10, and 12 are my answers, then you can. You don't need to do any of this stuff down here. Okay, and you're going to start recognizing those patterns a lot more. So we'll do a couple more examples of this, so please join me for the next video. Yay!